Good morning. Okay, I went to the Battle of the Bay show on Saturday. It was 2 hours away. It was the last Bikini Pro show in the US of the year. And I was like, Union City, 2 hours away. I have to go. So I went. So I went and I streamed it. And my camera work was shaky. It was it was shaky during the individuals because I sat next to someone who it was like her first time ever attending a bodybuilding show, and she wants to compete in the future, so she wanted to like get a lay of the land, and that was perfect for me because she had some questions. So I love to narrate, as you know. So it was super fun, but I did gauge. I was like, does she really want to know this much information? So I like monitored myself, but then she was like all about it and we had a really good time. So yeah, so I was at the show and I hope my comparisons were not as shaky as the individuals. But my arm was just getting so tired. So yeah, so I went to the show and I predicted China Melton to win, and she looked fantastic, and she had a huge fan club, which I felt honored to be a part of because like her whole family was cheering behind me, and I was like, go China. So yeah, that was the show. And so it ended up Jessica Wilson winning, which, not to be parasocial, but I was really happy for her winning because I know that she had to put her dog down a couple days before, due to old age, it seems. And so it was really sweet because the show was dedicated to her sweet little dog. So that made me happy. I have a heater on me and it's really hot. So yeah, Jessica won by 1 point. They did a lot of comparisons and turning people around, walking people around. It was very exciting. And she placed first by 1 point to Rudy Guerrero. And I wanted to double check. It was her like rookie season, I'm pretty sure. If not like, let's see. No, okay, it wasn't a rookie season. My bad. Okay, she's legit been a pro for like years. Okay, never mind. She went pro in 2019. But this is like kind of a breakout year for her. She placed well in 2021. But her highest placing so far happened this weekend. So second place. And she also had big fan club. So yeah. And then China, our girl, got third. So her actual rookie season, this is her second time placing third. That's the lowest she's placed in the IFBB, so that's pretty cool. Hope got fourth, and she recently got third a couple weeks ago in Hawaii. And then Adriana got fifth, and she's been placing pretty well this season. I believe it was Southern Muscle or something where she got third place, which was her highest placing of the year, I think. So let's check that. Atlantic Coast. Okay, cool. And this is her actual rookie year. She went pro 3 years ago. So let's get into the photos. Okay, so I have everyone pulled up. Let's take a look. Should we look at comparisons first? What is my like usual order of operations? I don't know. Okay, here we go. What the heck? It's only pulling up one of them, I think. Okay, whatever. So let's look at Jessica Wilson. What the heck? Jeez Louise. Okay, here we go. So let's look at our first place winner, Jessica Wilson. So Jessica was like spot on at the show. So recently she competed at Iron Games, and I said she looked a little bit tired. Like her physique just looked a little bit softer than usual. We can take a look at what I'm talking about there. But at this show, she was like so tight, looked excellent. Tight, but not like too tight, too lean, and very great balance across her entire physique. Conditioning matched everywhere. So here she was at Iron Games, where I thought she just looked a little bit worn out compared to this show where she looked like her normal self. So waist was tighter, more detail in the legs, everything just looks overall smoother. The tan looks better at this show than it did at that previous show, and just more volume in the right places all around. So like upper body, glutes, legs, and less volume in the lower abs, which is, where she was looking a little worn out last time. So yeah, and hair and makeup was perfect, as it always is. Hair was much better in the last show. It looked very pretty. And love the Irish suit on her. So, yeah, I mean, not much to say about Jessica other than she's completely balanced from top to bottom. So she has this nice taper into her waist, and not too conditioned anywhere. And muscle bellies just look like healthy and full, especially in this back pose. This is like really stood out to me at the show. The fullness in her shoulders completely matches the fullness in the lower body. That soft tie-in to the hamstring is like spot on what they want in bikini. And Jessica really just like completely nailed it at this show. Hair leaves a little bit to be desired here, like just getting the color of the extensions to match her natural hair color a little better, and blending them in a little better. But yeah, Jessica naturally has like pretty curly hair, so the texture, it's kind of hard to match sometimes when your natural hair texture just doesn't completely match the texture of the hair extensions. So I think that's a little issue she runs into. But it wasn't like egregious or anything. I'm just, noting the fine details, because bikini is a lot about fine details. And her hair looked great anyway, so it's not like even a major thing. So yeah, Jessica looked fantastic. And then I made some comparisons too, so we'll look at those. And then Rudy, should we just look at the comparisons? I don't even know. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, so here was Rudy's front pose. I had the same feedback about the front pose that I have had in the past with her, which is I don't think it necessarily hurt her at this show, and I think maybe she does this because genetically she has a little bit wider of a waist, not like actually wide, but wider, so maybe that's why she faces her hips like so square to the diagonal over here. I would like to see her open up her hips a little bit more. Like, is Jessica doing it, or does Jessica just have a different structure? I would like to see, I think I just want to see Rudy open up in the hips a little bit more. So like China would be a good example of what opening up in the hips more looks like. So if she opened up in her hips more, a little angled towards the judges better, you would see more of the front of this suit bottom. And I think that is what is like desired here for me. I think it would give her better shape. But that might not be the case if her waist is a little bit wider. Then it would look like wider waist and less glute. So this probably is the right pose for her, but I'd be curious as to what a variation might look like. So if we go to her previous showings, like let's see how she posed last year, if she's always posed this way, or if she like has tried what I'm talking about in the past. Okay. Let's see Iron Games. Yeah, I would like to see her open up a little more in the hips like this. Her waist still looks small because she's bringing it like close to her belly button, but not on top of her belly button with her hand. So I would like to see her open up a little bit more. Obviously, her muscularity, everything is improved since the show in 2021, but like this is more the angle I'm talking about. I'd want her to stand straighter up and stuff. I'd want her to keep everything about her current pose, but angled more open like this. I think it might give her better hourglass shape, and maybe that's something she will do in 2025, since that was the last show in the US this year, and I don't think she's going to be traveling overseas to do another show this year. But yeah, so that is my take on her. I can't tell what I want with this heater. So that's my take on her front pose. I also think that the suit color is really pretty. She could even get a bigger suit top and just stuff it a little bit more. And I only say that, I always say the same thing about this sport. Like, unfortunately, like, they say femininity is part of the criteria, and she obviously looks feminine, I'm not saying that, but I just think that since she is, like, very muscular and more vascular in this upper body here, if she got a bigger suit top and stuffed it more, then she would look overall fuller, and her vascularity wouldn't be as, like, in your face. And it's not even super in your face. I just think that extra bit of volume would balance out her physique very well with the muscularity she has. And I honestly want to cut that out of the video that I said it at all, but you know how I feel about some of the some of the criteria of the sport, like the language around it. Okay, and then her back pose, I think this was like really what got her neck and neck with Jessica, because Jessica's front pose is pretty hard to beat. I even think that like China has a little bit stronger of a front pose than Rudy does, and they did swap China in and out of Rudy's spot in this show. Let's see what the scorecard said about that. So was China... Okay, China on the scorecards was a solid third. She got 9 points. So if it were a perfect score, it would be 369. But they did test her out in the splitting center spot. So yeah, that's what I think with the front pose. In her back pose, I think where she was tight with Jessica, I think because of she has great shape from the back. Like her legs look great. I think where she lost to Jessica was probably you see more detail in Rudy overall than you do in Jessica. So more dug in hamstrings right here. Like you can really see how lean she got, like because her hamstrings are pretty dug out right here. And I think Jessica brought in just an overall fuller look, like what the judges have been saying they want. And I believe Tyler said earlier in the year that if it comes down to a more conditioned person and a fuller person, the fuller person will win. And I kind of think that's what happened here today, or that day. So yeah, Jessica overall a little bit more balanced. With Rudy's hair, I would want to see a little bit more glam in the hair. I thought the makeup glam was like beautiful. I thought it looked fantastic. And I really like the red lip on her. But I think if she had more volume to her hair overall, then she would have looked more balanced from top to bottom, because her rib cage is a little bit wider here, which, I mean, I also have a wider rib cage up top. Well, it's not down low. So yeah, wider rib cage, period. So I think if she had more volume to her hair, it would cover up a little bit of the width here, and we would just see that tiny taper into her low back waist right there. And it would just look overall more polished and adherent to the criteria. But posing, like the back pose looked really good. I think it was just a difference in conditioning and fullness. So that is Rudy. And then third place, China looked so good. So here was China's front pose. I think it looks great. She might be able to angle her hips a little bit more away from the judges, but honestly, I really like this. Like, maybe she shouldn't do that even. What I would do is bring the arm a little bit closer to the physique to really frame the physique. When it's out here, it is just a little bit distracting and makes the physique overall a little bit too wide. On China, since she was so confident and posed so well, well with poise, then I don't think that's something that really hurt her or, like, affected her placing. Because her front pose was very strong. Like I said, I think it was a little stronger than Rudy's. I think what China needs is just what most new pros need, and most pros in general need, which is more size to the glutes. So, on China, we see very distinct ties, and not in, like, the ties are too hard way, but just like they're absolutely there. She has a great glute shape. Her conditioning looks spot on, super, super full everywhere. Top to bottom completely matches, front to back. Her conditioning completely matches. Her muscle bellies are very full. I've been trying to say less, and I realize I've just said instead. So I just replaced it, and I'm saying it just as often, if not more often. Okay, so anyway, I think what she needs is just more volume to this upper outer glute. So the shape is already perfect, but what we don't get on China just yet is that taper from the glute into the leg. It's just kind of the same width from glute to leg there, and we can see on Jessica, we see more of that taper. That, what would you even call it? I mean, a cone? Not necessarily. You know what I mean, though. Like, just like an ice cream cone. Like, more taper into that leg. So if China just adds a little bit more size to her glutes, then I think she could get, like, a first place win. I also think that how wide she's posing in her feet, that is taking away from the taper she probably does have. So what she could first do is... Oh, cute ankle bracelet. Love that. What she could do is bring her stance in a little bit more. Like I said with some other competitors in the past, the edge of the shoulder, I would like to see that heel land like just about under the edge of the shoulder, which it looks like hers is. It's a little off. If she brought her feet in like 1 or 2 inches on each side, then I think she would look very balanced from top to bottom, even more balanced than she already looks now. And I think it could enhance the taper from the glute to the leg. I think when the legs are so wide like this, it starts to look like the same width. But she'll need more glutes anyway. But still, I think that if she brought her feet in a little bit, then she would get better balanced hourglass shape from top to bottom. It's kind of reminding me here of when Jen Dory won the 2021 Olympia, and she had a really, really wide stance. Let's see. No, she was wearing no, must have been the 2023 Olympia. Let's see. Okay. I said again. Yeah, it was just a little bit too wide. So if she, like, I think China was doing this. If China spread her feet in a little bit more, I think she'd get better balance. But long term, it's just going to be more muscle, like it is for most people. Okay, and then but everything else perfect. I think the color of the suit is gorgeous. Makeup looks so pretty and like glowing. And then hair also looks really good. Hair could be a little bit shorter though. It's falling on top of her glutes, and it's not like taking away from her hourglass shape, which is a concern we have usually when it covers the low back. But it would just look a little bit more refined if she cut her hair a little bit, so we could really see like her physique. It's a physique show, and we are covering up some of the most important parts of the physique, which is that upper glute. Not anything egregious, but like definitely, you know, it wouldn't hurt. Okay. And then we have Hope. So Hope got 4th place. She just got 3rd at the Sean Ray in Hawaii a few weeks ago. And I think she looked even better here than she did at the Sean Ray. So I thought the Sean Ray, she looked pretty. Oh, this is all my. Oh, okay. Well, that was my personal statement. I turned it so you can pause it. It's nothing private. So I'm applying to marriage and family therapy programs. I've turned in 3 applications so far, which feels really good. I am, oh fuck. Fuck, that's not what I want. Okay. I've turned in 3 so far, which feels really good. I'm turning in like 4 or 5 more. So, wish me luck. Okay, what am I wanting? Okay, Hope, here she is. Okay, so here she was at Sean Ray. I thought she looked a little bit over-conditioned at this show, and we went over why. She needs a little bit more muscle, so you have to come in a little bit tighter to see the muscle that you do have. But I thought she was a little bit too conditioned here and a little bit too ribby. But at this show, still a little bit ribby, just vacuuming a little bit too much. But I thought she looked like she had a lot more pop at this show. And this one I was here in person, and she had more pop. I wasn't at the Sean Ray in person. I wasn't in Hawaii. Would love to go. But yeah, what Hope needs is the same thing I said at the Sean Ray, which is bring that arm in a little closer to the physique, and then more glute long term, so that, because she's very tight up here, but she's not as tight in the glutes, and that's just because she needs more size, so those glutes push out against the skin and we get more projection. So long term, it's just going to be some time off to get those glutes to grow. And I think she already took like a year off. Basically, she did 1 show last year in June and then called it after doing a lot of shows in 2022. So yeah, but hair I thought was really pretty. Tan looked great. Makeup is pretty. I would do a little bit less pink. It was a little bit much for me, but I know pink is kind of a trend right now. So yeah, posing things, bring the arm in closer, long term, just more glutes, but great hourglass shape. Like that's why she got 4th, I think, because she's very balanced from top to bottom, even if there are like a couple things missing. And then in 5th place, I also brought up 6th place because Neji looked really good. Okay, so here is 5th place. So this is Adriana. Like I said, Adriana recently placed 3rd at Atlantic Coast, and Adriana looked really good. Her back pose, I think, is what got her this 5th place spot. Very balanced from top to bottom. A lot of fullness in the shoulders that matches from top to bottom. Not too hard anywhere in the hamstrings. And great taper into the waist. her front pose, I would bring the arm in a little bit more. The makeup, I thought, was a little bit disjointed for me. I think this lip kind of was overpowering with that eye, and I think the face makeup was just a little bit too light. So I would want better shape to the eyeshadow, a different lip color, and then a different foundation color. The suit color, I think, looks very pretty on her. What was distracting for me was this on stage. So she was vacuuming a lot, and I think it was just to keep her lower abs tight. But it looked like it just read as kind of skinny when she was on stage. So I would work on just like core control, instead of hollowing out the abdomen, like holding, like zipping up the corset, if you've heard that as a cue for keeping your core tight. So like sucking in and pulling up and then pressing those ribs down. I think that would really enhance her front pose, and it could enhance her placing, because it was just a little bit distracting. She was doing it the whole time she was on stage, like when she was walking, comparisons, individual. Hair looks beautiful, by the way. So yeah, it was a little bit distracting for me. And then long term, she probably could just get some more, her front pose, maybe just a little bit more sizeless glute, but her foot is also like horizontal. So I would try angling the toe and popping that hip out more. So I think China is a good example of that. Angling the toe, and then it really pops out this hip, and you can see this kind of hip dip. If Adriana could try posing more like that, I think her front pose would be a lot stronger, because her back pose is like lights out incredible. Her front pose leaves some to be desired. So that is what I thought with Adriana. And then 6th place, Neji really caught my eye. I've seen her on the list multiple times, but I always would forget who she was. I think my boyfriend came upstairs, and you know I get embarrassed when I think people can hear me. And then when I was visited home, my mom was like, oh yeah, when you were in high school and you and your boyfriend would be downstairs, then we could hear you in the vent from our room. And I was like, okay, no wonder I always have this complex about like people listening to me. Okay, so Neji, she looked so great. I think she's super muscular. I think what she needed was just to be a little bit tighter in the core. And I think that would come from just losing a little bit more body fat. But if she did that, she might not get this great tie from the glutes into the hamstrings. Oh my God, I feel so awkward. Okay, so hair and makeup looked beautiful. Suit color looked really pretty on her. But I think if she was overall tighter, she wouldn't sacrifice too much in this area. I don't think her hamstrings would be like dug out, which is what we would be concerned with in that back pose. I think it would just overall make her pop a little bit more. She still got 6th place. Let's see what her okay, was it a perfect score for 6th place? Yes. So there was, she and Adriana were very close by 2 points, and then 4 points between Hope and Adriana. So yeah. And then that's all I would do. Like, really just get tighter. Makeup, like, look at this. When she walked on stage, I was like, who is this cunty woman walking onto this stage? Like, she looked so good. Very eye-catching. Great confidence. And then let's look at these comparisons that I made. So, oh, sorry, Adriana. I swapped them on accident. So yeah, I think Jessica, best balance in the lineup. Second was Rudy. China, I think her front pose was like neck and neck with Jessica's. And then you can kind of see why these three were in the, like, were lower. And nothing against them. I wish I looked like them. Okay, no. I wish I looked like me, but more muscular. Okay, and then back pose. Yeah, I think Jessica really wins that back pose, and her conditioning was very similar to China's. Like, I think that, yeah, China's had a little bit more glute than it would have been coming down between those two. Nothing against Rudy. Like, Rudy looks great. And then, yeah, there's a little bit more distance between these three and the top three, I think. So, yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or disagreements, let me know. And thank you so much for liking my videos. I feel so special and cool. And I hope you have a great day.